If you really think about it, all you had to do is look around the locker room. There was so much material walking around, all the gimmicks, all the stuff.
This book is an amazing read. You're a special human being. I haven't been able to put it down from Kelly. Inspirational from one of pro wrestling's all-time greatest performers, another Amazon reviews. If you're listening to my voice right now, which I know many of you are, I see questions is flying in. Continue to do that. Use the super chat function, guys. We're going to have Marc and Arn answer your questions here shortly. But grab a copy of this book. He has so many great stories. Talk a little bit to us about this book and what it means to you, getting it together. You worked with Ben Veal, good friend of mine. I know he's become a great partner and friend of yours, Marc. Talk about working on this book and what it's meant to you, just putting this journey together.
Well, thank you for the nice words. I met Ben Veal over a year ago in an autograph session in the UK, and we talked about, I seen he was an award-winning writer, and he was so prolific, and he wrote some stories about me, and we just hit it off as friends, and we came to the conclusion, hey, I've always wanted to write my autobiography, and what better guy to do it than him? So we started doing Zoom calls all the time. I mean, every Zoom call was at least an hour, and I would tell him a story. And of course, he wants to put it in chronological order, and we went back and forth, and we couldn't be happier when it finally came out. And, it's almost 400 pages, so there's a lot of good stories, but it also talks about, from when I say bad to good. I mean, I'm very honest with the depths I went through depression, through drug abuse, through just wanting to end it all, to, this incredible resurrection to becoming this inspirational speaker, changing my life and living for other people and just wanting to make a difference. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more blessed. And I look back on my life and I have no regrets because I don't want to change anything, because all those paths led to where I am today, and it couldn't be better.
Man, that's so great. And we are honored and could not wait to have you on, talk about the book. As I said, I started reading some. I was talking to you before we started hit the record button. But just to see, you talked about how you were digging out swimming pools at one point in your life, right? In your early days, and all the way through to the wrestling, working in the power plant. You talked about working with guys. There's a couple lines in here, if it's okay, I'd like to share with our audience specific to Arn. Is that okay? Is that okay? He said, Arn always came across as a super serious as the enforcer on TV, but ask any of the boys who shared a locker room with him and they'll tell you all the same. Away from the cameras, Arn was absolutely hilarious. He had a devilishly straight sense of humor and would never laugh at his own jokes, which made him even funnier. He would deliver a one-liner on someone that would have us all laughing so much, yet his facial expressions never changed one bit. He genuinely wanted me to get better and climb up the ranks at WCW. There was zero ego or insecurity. This is why I love this man. And in the wrestling industry would have been so much healthier back then if it had been made up with more guys like Double A. That's so kind of you to say.
Well, it's absolute truth. I was in a very strong position. I mean, he was one of Ric Flair's best friends, and Ric Flair was even a booker at sometimes that I was there. And he never took that power. He was always like, I don't know, I hate to say it like this, but he's always just one of the boys. He just treated everybody with respect. Everybody loved him. And he didn't want to go toe-to-toe with him because nobody was more quick-witted than Arn Anderson, okay? I got to put him out up there with Bobby Heenan, okay? I mean, them two.
Wow.
I don't know if there's any two better than them guys, but Arn was hilarious, and he was always a lot of fun in the locker room because, man, he could cut up with everybody.
If you really think about it, all you had to do is look around the locker room. There was so much material walking around, all the gimmicks, all the stuff. If you didn't realize that, the business was a work and we're there to get each other over, and I'm going to deliver you back home to your family the way I want you to deliver me back home safely, then you could have fun with it. It's the guys that walked around that, their shit don't stink, that you would just go, well, that guy's not long for the business, because you could see it, right? You could and predict the guys that, well, hey, I'm too big. How short is he? How tall is he? How big is I can't put him over. This, that, and the other. It's a work.
It is. And, Arn, we've exchanged I think we exchanged the world television title a couple of times together,
Yes.
and fun matches, man. I mean, it was just like a day off working with you. I don't think you feel the same about me, but but eventually I got to the point where it was much better. But seriously, it was man. You know, when you get to the arena and they put your name, and you know, they used to have a chalkboard for when we were there, Arn, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm, yep.
They have all the matches listed. And when you seen you were going against someone like Arn Anderson, it was like a night off. It was just like you knew you were gonna have a fun time because he was so creative. And Arn, some of the moves that you helped me with, and I'll never forget this. There was a move I would do. I used to because I was brand new. They used to have my finishing move was knocking people out my left hook. We call it the tutti frutti. I'll kick your booty with my tutti frutti.
Yes.
What I would do is I would wind up my hands and go with the big left hook. And Arn would give those big eyes, and he'd duck down, which meant I'm going to come up with a big knee lift Arn up, and then hit him with my tutti frutti. And it was just little creative things that mattered, that made the match so much more interesting and fun and back and forth.
Well, and you know, letting the audience know who didn't actually know that you were Golden Gloves, you know, champion and all that, just putting that little bit of fluff into what could have just been just a straight left hook, and it'd have been the same result. But putting a little bit of flash, that's the showbiz that we try to do, and that's what our business is. You just, you know, take a shoot and groom it and fluff it up and put a little showbiz in it, and before you know it, you got a professional wrestling match. Imagine that.
Well, and I tell you, one of the things that helped me become popular as a performer was because I didn't know how to wrestle, so they try to make my entrance longer than my matches. So here I am coming out with a bad blaster, shooting confetti, frisbees, you know, the kiss that don't miss. I got all kinds of things happening before the match even starts, you know. So that's a testament to the entertainment aspect of the business, and then learning how to actually work with a veteran like an Arn Anderson.
Well, we had fun, my man. We came along at a time where, you know, it was, you know, guaranteed contracts were unheard of. And prior to WCW buying the company, that was the first opportunity that the guys had to have guaranteed money. So we all played a role in helping that being achieved. And it just, I mean, it's a wonderful business. It really is. It just, I just wish there was more live events available. I'd love to hear tomorrow morning waking up that two zillionaires had opened up 2 territories, you know, for these young kids to learn. You know, it's just,
there's so much pressure on those guys now. Like even when you watch the WWE shows, and you know that these guys are having one of their first matches and it's on live national television. I can't imagine the pressure that they're under to perform at that level. You know, and then having coaches like I seen one the other day that one of the coaches was The Undertaker, one was Booker T, and you know, I mean, just the pressure that they're under to go to the ring and perform is just amazing.
yeah.
And nowadays, if you'll get the review right away on social media too, Mark.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And the fans, you know, which I love. You know, anybody knows me knows I love the fans, because without the fans, we don't have an industry, we don't have a business. And some of them just like to, whatever the terminology is, they just get on there and blast these young guys and just bury the crap out of them, not knowing that they've had 8 matches maybe. And those were all 8 were in their wrestling camp or wrestling school. This is their first live TV at a point, you know, they don't give you that information.
Need a little grace, that's for sure.